Think of the fallen of the First World War, and you think of the trenches and men going over the top like lambs to the slaughter. But on this war memorial in northern France are inscribed the names of 11 British soldiers who weren't killed in action. They were executed by the enemy along with a Frenchman who tried to help them. This then is the story of the Bearne 12. One of the 12 was Fred Innocent from Lenton in Nottingham. A clerk in a wine merchant's, he went to war in 1914 with the Royal Munster Fusiliers. It's only in the last 20 years, though, that his relatives have learnt the truth about what happened to him.
Well, we always understood that he'd died, he'd perished in a fire in a barn in France, and my grandmother was always adamant that that was how he died, and that was it. But to discover that it wasn't like that at all was actually quite a shock.
The story begins in the summer of 1914. German forces were rampaging through Belgium and France. The British Army was in retreat. As the Germans swept southwards, the British fought rearguard actions at Le Grand Fête and Étreux. Many soldiers became trapped behind enemy lines. Some, including Fred Innocent, took refuge in the Nouvion forest, hiding in huts used by local woodcutters. I've come to the forest with historian Dr. Hedley Mallock, who uncovered the full story of the Bearne 12. For the soldiers, he says, life on the run meant living hand to mouth.
They had barely enough to keep going. Most of them, when they were found by the villagers round here and taken in, were starving. They were ravenous. They were also verminous too.
And always the terror of being caught.
Always the danger of being caught and a very uncertain future.
A danger which was growing as the Germans began plundering the forest for timber. Eventually, sometime in the autumn, a group of 9 soldiers, among them Fred Innocent, felt they had to move on. They headed for fields on the edge of a village called Bearne, where they took shelter in a makeshift hut. It was here that a retired textile worker called Vincent Chilandre stumbled across the men scavenging for root crops. He told the owner of the village mill, a woman called Léonie Loger. The two of them took pity on the British soldiers, and they and their families started taking them bundles of food. As winter began to bite, though, the French villagers felt they had to do more. On the 1st of November, they decided to take the soldiers in and give them shelter. Fred Innocent and 4 others went to the Loger family's mill. The remaining 4 went to Vincent Chilandre's house, hidden in the attic. An act driven by compassion, but carrying enormous risk.
He justifies this by saying that all those young soldiers have come to fight in France. It's my duty to help them and support them as much as I can. It just happened, and it was the war, and we had an instantaneous reaction. I think that in those moments you don't see danger, you don't think of danger.
The people of Bearne would later take in another 2 soldiers they found roaming the fields, taking the number they were hiding to 11. Weeks later, though, their endeavours were nearly uncovered. The Germans had had a tip-off that there were British soldiers hiding in Léonie Loger's mill, and suddenly turned up on her doorstep.
40 armed motorcyclists arrived here. They knew that the soldiers were here. Madame Loger held them off while her daughter Jeanne went to warn them. They escaped and they went out the back door. When they searched the premises, they missed the soldiers' paybooks, which were piled up on a table. So the raid was incompetently conducted, and that's how they got away.
The soldiers had escaped by the skin of their teeth, but it would be only a temporary reprieve. In the second part of the story, we'll find out how some indiscreet pillow talk and a bizarre love triangle would ultimately cost the soldiers their lives.